evening and welcome to this Monday practice. I'm just going to check one thing, sorry. Oh, fine. Okay, thanks guys. Take 3. Okay. So for this evening's practice, most of you know it is a beginner friendly, so it'll be a gentle flow, looking to kind of just target the whole body. I really want to get us moving. So we're just going to take a few moments, just a kind of a shorter amount of space and time, just to kind of center the body and to come back home to the breath. So we will start in a seated position. You choose whatever is most comfortable for you. I'm going to suggest that you take a blanket of some sort, especially if anyone has sensitive knees, as we will be coming into a lunge or two later on in the practice. If the lower back is a little bit tight this evening, it's nice to just give the pelvis, the hips a little bit of elevation. And just to disclaimer, one last thing. As I said, it's a gentle flow. It will depend upon how you're feeling, how your energy levels are. Remembering always, you can take as much rest as you may need to. And for those of you that might have a stronger practice, if you want to add anything into the sequence, don't hesitate to play around a little bit more. If you want to just advance some poses, it's all up to yourself really and how you feel as you move this evening. Okay, so once you find a seat, you can bring your hands to rest on the knees. And you can have your palms facing down, or we can turn the palms open up towards the ceiling. If you're comfortable, close the eyes or just settle with a softer gaze. And just take a moment to settle the body. You might want to just adjust the seat a little bit. I often like to pull the flesh of the buttocks back and away from the sit bones, just to feel more of a grounding base through the root of the body. And just let the crown of the head just gently draw up towards the sky. Let the heart and the chest just gently lift. And to help ourselves really just land and settle. And also a nice way of just releasing, letting go of any tension that may be held in the body this evening. Just let the breath come in through the nose. And you may wish to just gently sigh the breath out of the mouth. Make that exhalation as audible as feels good for you. And just really letting whatever needs to be released from the body, let the breath just carry it out. It can be nice to even let the shoulders elevate ever so slightly on that inhalation. And exhaling, just sinking the shoulders, releasing the breath, letting go. Take 1 or 2 more. And when you feel ready, just come back to a quiet and natural breath for a few moments. Just observing the movement of the breath in your body. And we'll work with a few rounds of yogic 3-part breath. Emptying out the lungs on the next exhalation, just really letting all that stale air, that breath really release. Inhaling as we fill the lungs, breathing into belly, ribs, chest. Exhaling as the chest sinks, the ribs, the belly. Inhaling belly, ribs, chest. Exhaling chest, ribs, belly. Inhaling belly, ribs, chest. Exhaling chest, ribs, belly. Just continue with this pattern for a few more rounds here on your own. We'll continue with this breath as we start to just gently move the body, starting here with the head. Let the chin drop down towards the heart, towards the chest. And slowly begin to draw the arc of the right collarbone with your chin. Tilt the right ear towards your right shoulder. Open the throat as the head circles back. Ear to left shoulder, chin to left shoulder, chin to chest. One more time in this direction. Once the chin comes back towards the heart, we'll go in the opposite direction. Inhaling. Exhaling. And once the chin comes to the chest, inhale, tilt your head back to a neutral position. You're welcome to open the eyes here. Take your fingertips onto the heads of your shoulders. Elbows are going to point out away from the shoulder here. Just soften the ribs down a little bit and begin to just draw some nice big circles with the elbows. Just notice how the shoulders are feeling here this evening, if there's any clicking or crunching, if it feels smooth as we draw these circles. And we'll reverse, we'll go the opposite direction. Go as big here as you can. See if you can even get the elbows to meet just as they come down in front of the face. We'll do one more big circle. And let the elbows now stay pointing out wide. Take a nice big breath in. Feel it draw belly, ribs, chest. Moving now on the exhalation into a twist. So begin to rotate towards the right knee. So think of the breastbone pointing towards the right knee. We'll pause here for a moment. So staying more in an active twist. Recruiting some of the deeper muscles now in the core. And just see what it's like to breathe here as we rotate the spine. Release your left hand. Place it to the inside of the left knee. Right hand's just going to gently come behind the back. Draw the head of the right shoulder behind you as much as you can. And think of lengthening through the spine. So our seat is grounding down, feeling your roots. And the crown of the head is stretching towards the ceiling. Be mindful, the tendency often is that we lift with the chin rather than with the center of the head to create that length, that space. One more breath here. Now you're going to release the twist. Well, release your hands, keep the twist of the spine. Fingers are going to come back onto the heads of the shoulder. On the exhalation, let the spine naturally unwind itself back through center. Inhaling, nice full breath in. Exhaling, twist it. This time towards that left side. We'll pause here. And we're pausing the movement, not the breath. Keeping that breath fluid. And allowing the flow of the breath to be an anchor for the mind. Keeping us settled within this experience. And release the hands, this time right to the outside of the right knee, left fingertips behind you. Again, find that sense of lift and length through the spine, keeping the seat grounded. Release the hands, place them back onto the tops of the shoulders. And exhaling here, unwind, release yourself back to center. Draw the elbows in by the sides of the ribs, release your fingertips down by the outer hips, and we'll stretch right and left leg straight out. And inspect my feet to make sure they're clean. Okay, toes are going to point straight up towards the ceiling. Create a little bit of separation between your inner thighs so the legs aren't completely glued together. A little bit of space. Fingertips can come down just to give you support here to try and again keep that feeling of length in the spine rather than us coming into that habitual rounding pattern that we may have been in for half our day today. So we'll counterbalance that a little bit with length. With the feet, spread your toes out now as wide as you can. Really stretch your big toe and your pinky toe off in the opposite direction. Now keep the spreading of the toes, but nice and slowly you're going to reach your foot forward. So we're opening through the front of the ankle. And exhale, now pull the toes back towards the shin bone as we flex. So we're inhaling to point. Try and keep the space. Often if we really go into a point at the toe, it's going to gather all the toes together. So see if you can maintain that sense of space. It's going to do a lot of work for the feet. And then exhale. Excuse me, we draw the toes up. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhaling. Exhaling. Bend into your right knee. You're going to hook your right forearm in underneath your right thigh and draw the right thigh bone in towards the chest. It's going to help you sit up a little bit taller. We're going to keep the flex in the ankle so the toes are going to stay pulling up towards the shin bone. Inhale nice and slowly. We're going to work to extending the knee now any amount that feels comfortable for you, and exhaling as you rebend the knee. Inhale as we extend. Exhale to bend. Inhaling. Exhale. Do two more. Inhale, move on the breath. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Hold the front of the shin bone. Draw your knee a little closer in towards the chest. I'm going to give you an option here. So for some, you're going to let the leg hold itself up in space. As you release your hands, you're going to feel the front of that hip working hard. For others, let your heel come down onto the mat. Okay, just see what works better for you. Notice if you're leaning all the way back, keep the spine upright. Leg is in a hover. Don't hold your breath. I can see your faces in my mind's eye. Alright, inhale, stretch the leg out. Exhale, lower it down. Well done. Give it a little pulse, a little shake. And then rotating from the hip joint, just turn the right toes out. We externally rotate the hip, and then we'll turn the right toes in. A nice little crack for me there. We'll turn the toes out, and then turn the toes in. Let the foot stay pointing towards the ceiling. We'll bend into the left knee. Hook the arm in underneath the thigh, so as tall as you can. Ankle stays flexed. Toes stay spreading. Inhale to extend the knee. And exhale as we bend. Again, just straightening any amount. If you start to feel a shaky sensation here in the hamstring, don't go into that shake. Just maybe go a little smaller. Don't extend the leg so much. We'll do two more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhaling. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So remember your options. We hold the front of the shin. Either the heel stays just very lightly resting on the mat, or we keep the leg in a hover. We're going to release the hands. Think of yogic three-part breath. Inhale, fill the belly, ribs and chest. Exhaling, chest, ribs, belly. One more breath. Inhaling, counteracting some of that excessive sitting. Exhaling, stretch the left leg out. Lower the left leg down. Well done. Alright, from the hip, turn the foot in, turn the foot out a couple of times. Feel that movement right up in the hip joint. Toes are going to stay pointing up. We'll take a bend now into both knees. Take your right heel, or your left heel side towards the right sit bone, and then we'll cross quite wide on the shin. So maybe some of you started with a cross leg position, But instead of being at the ankles, I want you to come right so that the heels are almost aligned with your knees. Hands are going to come behind the back. We're going to interlace the fingers. I'm just going to turn to the side so you can see if you need the visual. Interlace the fingers here. We're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together. It's going to create quite a nice stretch opening through the front of the chest, front of the shoulders. You may wish to even look up as you inhale. Now exhaling, begin to come into a forward fold. So you want to tilt the pelvis forward, bringing the belly, the ribs towards the shins. You might even drop your head if it feels comfortable for you, and see how much can you bring those knuckles up towards the sky. So you're going to feel a sensation through the outer right hip and quite a strong sensation opening across the heart. Inhaling as we come all the way back up. Exhale, release the grip of your fingertips. Release the hands. Now change the crossing of your shin bones. So the left is going to come forward. Hands will go behind the back. This time out, you take the opposite pinky finger forward. I often refer to it as weird hand. Weird hand. So you'll know it the minute you find it. It does feel quite strange. You're going to pull the shoulder blades again towards one another. Let the chest lift. Inhale as we look up. Think of the pelvis tilting forward, spine following the movement. And then bringing the head as far towards the mat as feels comfortable for you. Noticing that sensation now in the outer left hip. Does it feel the same as it did on the right side? Just investigate that for a moment. And if it feels a little bit too deep, maybe you back yourself up a little bit. And if your body feels like it could go slightly deeper, maybe you sink a bit more forward. Just take a moment to listen in. And we'll slowly come all the way up. Release the weird hands. Give your shoulders a little bit of a shake. Come to tabletop position for me here. So for sensitive knee people, and I am currently one of those again. I think my running career is over before it starts. Okay, so take a blanket and pop your knees down for a little bit of extra padding if you need it. We're going to start with the toes pointing back. I want you to really focus on the pressing down of the shin bones. Okay, so really firm down into your shin bones and just notice the feedback here as you press the shin bones down. You might start to feel the inner thigh muscles gripping a little bit, and that might feed right up into the core of your body. Spread your fingers, wrists underneath your shoulders, grip your fingertips a little bit here, and then spin the eye of your elbow, so that's the elbow crease, not the kind of rough bit, forward in the direction of your index finger and your thumb, so creates an external rotation of the upper arm bones. Think of pressing your forearms now towards one another. So as we just take a moment to be still here, there should be lots of tension in the body. So shin bones pressing down. Feel the feedback up into the legs, into the core. Making sure that while we press down into the hands, the chest isn't sinking. So think of lifting your heart up away from the mat. Forearms firm towards one another. And then let the lower belly slightly pick itself up away from the mat. Alright, take one more breath here. Can you maintain the strength in the arms and your legs as we mobilize the spine a little bit through cat-cow? Let the tail start to lift. Keep tone in your belly. Open across the heart. Look forward. Exhaling, allow your tail to tuck, your belly to draw in, and your chin to come towards your chest. Really round out the spine here as much as you can. So we'll inhale as the tail lifts, the belly sinks. Think of pulling the breastbone through the arm bones as you look forward. Exhaling, tail tucks, belly draws in, chin towards your chest. Inhale, come back now into a neutral position. Your left hip, what I want you to think of, in fact, bring your left hand to your outer left hip here for a moment. And press your left outer hip into your hand, and now press your hand back into your hip, and almost try and draw your hips back in alignment here. So left hip's going to cock slightly out to the left, and we're going to use the strength of the hand to squeeze the hips back into center. Now take the hand away and think of the outer left hip hugging towards the midline of the body. We want to maintain this, okay? So really building strength here to just stabilize the hip and pelvis a little bit more. And you're going to take your right knee into just a little bit of a hover. Once you take that right knee into a hover, start to just draw the smallest circles. The smallest circle with the right knee, remembering outer left hip stays hugging in. Now, as we go bigger with the circles of the right leg, you'll start to notice that left hip wanting to sink over to the left. Really keep it hugging in. Grip the fingertips just to take the weight out of the heel of the hand. See if you can get bigger and bigger with your circles, but make sure they're controlled. We'll do one more in this direction. Outer left hip stays hugging in. Begin to reverse the movement of your circles. Keeping yourself lifting up out of the shoulders. Heart moving up and away from the mat. Belly moving up and away from the mat. One more rotation here. Well done. And now we're going to take that right leg and step it in between the hands. We'll give the wrists a little bit of a break here. Coming up into a lunge position. I want you to think of dropping down your tailbone as much as you can. Arms are going to reach up towards the ceiling if that's comfortable. If you're a little bit unsteady and wobbly, keep your hands on your hips. You might even want to take your right foot and walk it a little bit more to the right side to give you a wider base of support, and this will help with the balance. Left shin bone's going to stay pressing down. In your left glute, which is the left buttock muscle, can you give that a little bit of a squeeze? We're trying to get into the left hip flexor, so the muscles here through the front of the hip, getting them just to a nice release here, a nice stretch. Okay. If the arms are up towards the ceiling, place your hands back down on your hips. Think again here of that outer left hip hugging in. In fact, think of both of your outer hips squeezing in towards center. So this will give us a little bit of stability, but the intention is for wobbles. Okay, so wobbles are always welcome. Your hand's going to be on the hips. Now point your right toes up towards the ceiling, and you're going to inhale, lift the right leg up, exhale, lower. Now if you're super wobbly, take your arms out into a T. It'll help to counterbalance you here. Inhale as you lift, exhale, lower. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. Now can you do it a bit more gracefully? Because again, I can visualize you in my mind's eye. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. Now we're going to hold that leg up in space for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, well done. Lower the foot down. We're going to release the hands. Step back with your right knee. If you need to pad, bring your padding over to the right knee. And we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So again, think of outer right hip this time hugging in. Left knee comes into a little bit of a hover, and we start with super small circles. Really grip into your fingertips here again. Index knuckles pressing down. Forearms firming towards one another. Start to grow the circle, let it spiral out a little bit more. Notice that tendency for wanting to lean the weight into that right side. Pause, go the opposite direction. Nice and controlled. Keep the heel pulling in towards the bump, and that will help just to engage the hamstring, and that's always giving a little bit more support. Okay, now we'll just let that movement ease its way down, almost through the knee to come back to stillness, and then step left foot in between your hands. Remember your variations, hand to hips, maybe arms reach towards the ceiling, press down into that back shin bone, and just to feel what this would be like for your body, I want you to think of a scissors, okay? Your front heel, think of pulling that back and your back knee forward. So front heel back and back knee forward. Give your right buttock a little squeeze and you might start to feel more happening through that hip. All right, we'll pause the movement. Keep all this activation, this tension in the body. Good tension, not evil tension. Breath is fluid, keeping you centered and calm. And then hands can come to the hips. We'll take aeroplane arms. We'll inhale as we lift. You might want to lean yourself back ever so slightly. Left leg inhale, lower down, exhale. Inhale to lift, exhale, lower. And it's amazing how you'll see your imbalances if they're there. Much harder for me on this side. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower, lift, lower, lift, hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, lower, left foot down. Both hands come down. Left knee steps back. If you want to put your blanket off to one side, if you were using it, we'll spread out with our fingers, curl our toes. We'll take our first downward facing dog. So once we lift the hips up, walk your feet just a little further back, and they can be hip width distance. They might even go slightly wider, or they might be slightly narrower. So just see what feels better for you. Play around with it. Soften into your knees and think of bringing your hips up towards the ceiling, or your buttocks up towards the ceiling. At the same time, I'm driving the weight of my hands down and forward. It's almost like I'm trying to push the mat out from underneath me, which helps to bring my belly and my ribs closer towards my thighs. Really keep your knees soft to keep lifting your bum up, and then pedal the left heel down a little bit more, and then drop the right heel and just stretch out through the back of the legs a little bit here as we walk the dog. Next breath, you're going to come up onto your tiptoes, look forward of your fingers, and exhaling, we're going to step or walk the feet towards the top of the mat. Coming into a standing forward bend, be nice and soft with the knees. If you're struggling to get the legs up, just bring your hands back towards your feet. Knees are soft, belly, ribs supported by the thighs, fingers are holding the opposite arm if that feels good for you. Let the crown of your head just drop towards the mat. I always encourage a little bit of a self-massage here for maybe the neck or the shoulders. Always feels good. So if you're comfortable with your own touch, give yourself a little bit of a rub. The upper trapeze, the muscle here in the shoulders, is one that really likes to carry and hold tension. So maybe you'll feel that it responds to a kind pinch. And when you're ready, just let the arms release. Bend the knees a little bit more. We'll ground the feet and we'll slowly roll the spine, coming up one vertebrae at a time. Once we come into a fully upright stock position, just give the shoulders a little roll up, back and down. Feet can come closer together, but not all the way in. We'll lift and spread the toes. Pressing down into the tripod of your foot, so you have your big toe, little toe mound, center of your heels. Really firm that connection down. And again, the crown of the head always stretching up towards the ceiling, but make sure chin stays parallel, even very slightly tipping towards the heart. We'll turn the palms forward. Reach down into the tips of your fingers so the arms are energized. Legs are strong. Just close the eyes for a moment here. Just feel into your body right now. And as we're halfway through the practice, just notice where you're at. And there's no right or wrong answer. If you're unsure of where you're at, just notice if there's any sensations in the body. Investigate that. And feeling into the breath. We're going to move through just a couple of half sun salutations to bring that element of fluidity into the practice. Letting us engage and connect with the breath. And letting the breath initiate the movement. Inhaling, let the arms move out into a T, take them up over your head. Arms can stay shoulder width apart depending on the shoulders, maybe palms connect. Exhaling, soften the knees ever so slightly, folding from the hip creases and bringing your ribs towards your thighs and your hands towards your shins. Drop the crown of your head straight down. Inhaling, bring your hands to your knees, coming to a halfway lift, so really elongating the spine. Your sit bones are back, the crown is forward. Exhaling, bowing and folding here. Pressing through the feet, rising up, reaching up, inhaling. Exhaling, let the hands just lower all the way back by the outer hips. I invite you to close your eyes if you're used to the sequence. Inhaling, let the arms float out and up. Just feel the air moving through the fingers. Exhaling, soften the knees, folding forward and down. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, draw the belly in as you fold. Root down, rise up, reach up, inhale. Exhale, hands lower. Last time, continue. Inhale, just calling the breath. Exhaling. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Hands to the heart. And just take a moment in stillness. Release your hands gently, open the eyes if they're closed. Working with a little bit of balance. All different levels of the raising of your legs. So just work into what feels good for you. We're going to start very similar to that kind of lunge position, but lifting the leg up. I'm going to transfer the weight now into the left leg. Again, think of the tripod of the foot grounding down. And in particular, when one leg comes up off the floor, the tendency is that we go onto the pinky toe edge side of the foot. So really think of pressing the big toe mound. That's where you really want to put your effort, okay? So left leg strong and stable. Take the palms to face in to begin with. Transfer the weight into the left leg. As you inhale, we're going to bend the right knee. So you're going to let the foot go maybe to a hover, or maybe you take your knee up and just max out your range of motion in that hip in this flex position. So whatever works for you, you're going to exhale lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale lower. Really stay stable with left leg. Think of that outer hip hugging in. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Now, if you want to add in a challenge, let your hand come to the thigh. Inhale as you lift. Now, resist the lifting of the leg as you press your hand down. Exhale, lower. Inhale to lift. Resist. Feel the hip flexor. Feel even the feedback into the core. Exhale, lower. One more time. Inhale to lift. Exhale as you lower. Turning the right foot out. But we want to try and keep the hips facing forward. Often you're going to start to kind of go into a diagonal position with the pelvis. So try and keep hips facing forward. And what we're really just doing is bringing an external rotation into that hip. So it's just the leg bone that's really doing the movement here. Pelvis stays forward. We're going to repeat that similar sequence with the leg in this position. Bring your heel in a little closer, so there's a small bit of space between the legs, and maybe you go straight into resistance, or you do without. Inhale to lift, exhale, lower. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. Left glute keeping you nice and strong. Give it a little squeeze as you lift the right leg up. Exhale, lower. One more time. Inhale to lift, exhale, lower. Left leg lifts. Now we go to a tree, foot to inner calf. Maybe the leg lifted even higher. So in fact, we'll start again, sorry. Okay, so take the leg out to the side. It's weird, I almost visualize you all doing this. Okay, leg out to the side. Where do you land? So we're going for an active tree, which is going to be a little bit different. So for me, I've got quite a lot of range of motion in that hip. I can bring the leg right up here. So if you watch how I do it, I'm going to then just place the foot where it naturally lands, rather than me putting on the ankle and bringing the foot right up towards the pelvic floor. So wherever you naturally bring that leg, place the foot. And if it's by the knee, just be a bit mindful. You might want to bring the heel either higher or lower, so there's not a whole lot of force pressing in towards the inner knee. And then think of outer hips hugging in towards one another, pulling in, hands to heart. You're going to feel a lot now. That left leg is doing a huge amount. Okay, steady gaze here. Just let the breath come back into your attention, into your focus. One more here. We're going to draw the right knee forward. And you're going to take a big step back now with the left leg, coming into a high lunge position. If the feet are quite close together or in the same line, you're going to be super wobbly. Again, wide base of support by bringing right leg out to the right. Arms are going to reach towards the ceiling. Little soft bend into your back knee. Keep your tail lengthening down. And we'll pause here. Maybe hands stay on the hips. Steady gaze. Come back to the breath. Drive down with that front left heel. Maybe you do the scissors again. Left heel pulls back, right foot pulls forward. Notice what you notice. One last breath. Lean slightly forward with the chest, press into your left leg, and we'll step forward. Whew. Okay, shake out that left leg, just get some of that tension to release. Okay, same sequence now on the second side. So find the tripod of the right foot. I never lock the knee out. I prefer to work with a little bend into the knee. Just for me personally, it gives more support to the leg. Okay, so just be careful if you have a tendency to pull the knee back, little soft bend, just see how that feels for you. Big toe, little toe mound, center of the heel, firming their connection into the earth. Legs stay strong. Crown is lifting. Arms are here. So we're going to begin. Inhaling, just flexing the knee up. Exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale, lower. Most of you know I'm a terrible counter. No idea how many we did on the other legs. We're going to go for 5. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Now we'll do 3 resistance. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale, lower. Turn the toes out. Remember, hips want to stay square, facing forward. Maybe we go straight to resistance. Inhale as we lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale to lift. Lower. Lift. Lower. Lift. Lower. We're going to lift, take the hand away, and now see where the foot lands without you facilitating. Wherever it lands, hug your hips in towards center, steady gaze, hands to heart.
Maybe you give your tree some branches, stretch the arms towards the sky. You might even wish to experiment with closing your eyes. I love doing this variation. It really just emphasizes how much the muscles in your feet work hard to stabilize you. Feeling that right up into the hip. We'll take one more breath. And draw the knee forward, finding that lunge. Now take a nice big step back with the left leg. Maybe we go a little wider with it. Soft bend into the knee, tail dropping down. Think of the scissors of the feet. Take one more breath. Now instead of stepping forward, we're going to take this into goddess pose. If you're like, what is that? I will tell you right now. So you're going to open out to the long edge of the mat and turn your toes to the top corners. So they're pointing to the top corners. Maybe some of you know this as horse dance. So toes to top corners. We're going to bend the knees, but being mindful here as we bend the knees that the knees don't drop in towards one another. I want you to think of squeezing your knees out. So press into the pinky toe side of the foot a little bit more. Let the hips drop as low as feels comfortable for you. Place your hands to the inside of your thighs. Now drop the right shoulder in towards the center, and you're just going to look up over your left shoulder, look towards the ceiling. Inhale as you come back, look forward. Exhale, left shoulder drops in. You can keep your left elbow straight. Maybe you press your palm into the inner knees. You gaze up over right shoulder. Little bit of rotation here. Inhale, center. One more time either side. Exhale, right shoulder drops into center. Gaze up over left. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, come to center. Exhale, straighten your legs. Turn your feet to face forward. Step to the top of your mat. Mountain pose, Tadasana. Taking a little flow to bring us down onto our bellies. Inhaling, arms are stretching up, reaching up. Exhaling, soften the knees, forward, forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bend the knees, bring your fingertips to the floor, step the left foot back, step the right foot back. We're in a plank position. You might want to wiggle the feet a little bit more here. Keep spreading your fingers. Watch you're not sinking your hips too low. Keep the hips lifting high. Maybe we modify by taking the knees down. Now look forward, pelvis is in a slight forward tilt. Grip the fingers, inhale. Bend your elbows, lower down, exhale. Come all the way to your belly. Untuck the tops of your feet. Bring the fingers in underneath the heads of your shoulders. Tops of the feet press down. Pubic bone presses down. And think of drawing your belly button up away from the floor. Now let the hands come to a hover position for a moment. And your shoulder blades, your scapula, think of pulling them towards your back pockets. As you inhale, keep your belly drawing up, but lift your chest a little higher, and then look forward. So you're going to be feeling whole back body here. You might even want to lift the legs, only if it feels good for you on the lower back. Keep the navel pulling up towards the spine. We're going to exhale, lower feet, lower hands, lower head. Option here again is to lift the feet. Inhale as we take the hands up, chest up, gaze forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Exhale to lower. Press down into your palms. Come all the way up onto your knees. Now pull your bum back into your heel. Stretch back into child's pose. Slide your hands all the way in towards you, lifting your belly and your ribs up out of your thighs. Walk your hands back so your fingertips point towards your feet. As you press down into your palms, now a couple of variations here. If it's okay for you to be here even on the ankles, you might want to just have your legs stretched straight out in front. As I press down into the palms, I'm going to lift my chest up, just creating a nice opening across the heart. Option 1, I stay here. Maybe I press the shin bones down and give my hips just a little bit of a lift. And exhaling as we lower hips. Release. Roll onto the outer left hip and take both legs and stretch them forward out in front. Come to lie on your back. Keep both knees bent. Draw your right knee in towards the chest. Interlace your fingers around the back of your thigh and then slowly start to stretch the leg up towards the ceiling. And what we can do here is bring our hands towards the calf. Maybe we bring the hands right up towards the ankle. And for some, you might even hook your big toe with your peace fingers, taking the left hand onto the hip. So this can be quite a deep hamstring stretch, so please just be mindful. Again, if we start to have a little shaky back leg, just bend the knee a little bit more here. Relax the shoulders down. If the head is lifted, make sure that the head is back. Just release the leg any amount to make sure that the back body is completely supported by the ground, by the earth. Now take a bend into that right knee and aim your right knee. So we're taking a half a happy baby. Aim the right knee towards the outside of the ribs or the armpit. And the hand now might move towards the ankle. You might even be able to grab the pinky toe edge side of that right foot. And coming back to the breath. So just beginning to kind of slow things down here. We're going to release the foot, cross the pinky toe edge side of the foot over the top of the left thigh for a figure of 4 stretch. So for some, you might just stay here if it feels deep enough for you. Others, you might take your left leg up towards the chest, interlacing the fingers around the back of your left thigh. Or you interlace the fingers around the front of the left shin bone. So just feel out with the outer right hip. And if things are too deep, too strong, please just be mindful. Again, remember, back body stays resting down. I am guaranteed that 1 or 2 of your heads are lifted. So just release. And just notice how the jaws, if there's any tension here. It can be nice just to open them out wide, maybe take the jaw side to side. Keeping your gaze very soft. And slowly then just release the left foot down. Bring your right knee in towards your chest, hug it in here for a moment. And then place the right foot back down. Left knee in. We'll take our hamstring stretch here. So again, just finding whatever part of the leg your hands can rest on comfortably. Maybe we go for the toe if it's available. Settling back with the shoulders. And begin to come into that half a happy baby variation. So as you bend the knee, try not bring it towards your ribs, but towards the outside of the ribs. So there's that same slight opening of the hip we did when we were working our standing balance into tree. So again, it's what we call that external rotation of the hip. So opening it out, and then you can find either the ankle, you might even grab the back of the knee. This is a variation I often teach in a yin practice. Or you just hold the pinky toe outside of the foot. And just notice what sensations are in the body now. And if there's a strong physical sensation in the hip, or maybe the breath, just for a moment, see if you can find something a little bit more subtle. Maybe there's a tingling, a pulsation, or there might even be an emotion present. Maybe we just recognize that right now. And whether we're feeling content, frustrated, angry, happy, joyful, anxious, doesn't matter what we're feeling, just notice what it is. And remember, it's okay to feel however you are right now. Figure of 4, cross the left ankle over the top of the right thigh. Maybe we bring the leg closer in towards the body. I'm beginning to get a sense from many people at the moment that they're all a little bit over the shit, and there's lots of frustration and impatience and annoyance, and it's okay. And I do find that it can be almost more challenging to be around others when we're feeling the way we're feeling. But just remember, when you're annoyed, when you're frustrated, it's not really the other person, it's something within you that's coming up. And just be tender to it. Be kind. We'll take one more breath here in our figure of 4 stretch. And just let the foot come back down. And then just release the knee. And we'll take both legs up in towards the chest and interlace the fingers around the knees. And stretch the legs and arms up. We have to finish with the shakedown, I'm sorry. Okay, start to just give the legs a real shake off. And you can let the arms start to shake as well. And I really do feel like this is such a wonderful way to just shake it up and let it go. Whether you believe me or not, or whether you are comfortable with this practice or not, but just embrace it for the moment. And see if you can just shake a little bit more. And again, if there's any deep sounds that need to come out of your body, just let them come out. Hopefully there's nobody else in the room or in the building, even if they are, who gives a shit. Just let whatever you need to let out, let go from the body. Even a few audible exhalations might feel good. Go shake, 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 shake. And then just slowly start to let that almost come into more like a pulse in the body. Just a gentle wave-like pulse through the limbs, through the legs. And we'll slowly bend the knees in towards the chest, heels in towards the bum. Give the body a little bit of a rock. And just slowly start to stretch the legs and arms out. And feeling down into your feet here for a moment. Just noticing the feet. And just scrunch your toes in for a second or two. And see if you can just really engage here the toes. And allow that tension to just travel up into the soles of the feet. And let that tension just start to travel up into the legs. So we're bringing tension through the lower leg, through the knees, through the upper leg. And let that tension just feed its way up through the pelvis, through the core, up into the chest, down the shoulders, elbows, forearms, fingers, tensing just a little bit more. Maybe we scrunch all the muscles of the face up. Take one more breath, squeeze just a little bit more, little bit more, little bit more. And then exhale. Let everything release and go. And you're very welcome to grab a blanket if you need it. Change the position of your body. You might even wish to come to a seated position. We'll rest here for just a few minutes together. Just 3 to 4 minutes. So if you can give yourself that time, please try and remain here. If you need to scurry off, then you need to scurry off. That's okay too. Once you find a position, whether you continue to stay resting lying down or you bring yourself up into a seated position, just find stillness. Just really settle. And I will bring you out of this practice with 3 sounds of the bell in about 3 minutes. So just allow yourself to enjoy the silence and the stillness. If you are in a position to continue to rest,
You don't need to get up and tend to children or feeding anybody. And you can just remain here a few more moments, just continue to rest. And if you need to move, just bring some very gentle movements into fingers and toes and ankles and wrists. Allow yourself a big stretch. And allow yourself a great big hug. And just roll to whatever side feels intuitive, whether you even just come up into a seat. And we'll just pause here in stillness again for a moment. And just recognizing again if there's any feelings in the body, in whatever way they have manifested themselves. If you feel comfortable, bring a soft and gentle smile to your lips. And let this smile be towards your heart and towards yourself. And if you'd like to offer it to anybody, maybe you have an intention. Take as long as you need. And we'll meet with the hands in front of the heart for Anjali Mudra, and we'll bow the practice out together. And letting the head just drop forward. Thumbs can touch the heart, the breastbone. And take a big breath into your heart, into the cave of the heart. And maybe a sigh wants to release from the mouth. From my heart to yours, Namaste. Thank you for your presence and your practice and for tuning in. I wish you a peaceful week, and I hope that you get to tune in again or rewatch many of the videos that are here already that we'll save to the library. As you know, this beginner friendly practice, I will have another one on Thursday for Yin Yoga, which is quite different, and I will be doing it live through Zoom, so I'll send the link on Wednesday and you can sign up to that, and that will be just a little bit face-to-face-ish, but all cameras can turn off, but it'll just be a nice way of just bringing the community together for a practice. So I hope you tune into that, and stay safe and continue being patient and kind as much as one can be. So thank you again, and good night to you.